Now, for the third of our speakers and a different perspective, this time from Russia. Carbo One is one of the world's biggest coal traders, with more than 40 million tons of coal sales annually, roughly 50% to Europe, a third, about 32% to Asia. Please will you welcome Alexey Danilov, Director of Carbo One. Alexey. Very good to see you.
Gentlemen, Gavin, after the lineup of the brilliant speakers, hopefully you will excuse my goofy English.
I think your English will be just fine. I mean, just from where you sit, again, let's do a general perspective. How do you see the market now? And Fabio suggesting maybe in terms of prices, we're at rock bottom.
Speaking from that perspective, we are thinking that coal has a definitely good future, and the seaborne trade is growing from year to year. And definitely I fully agree with Fabio's assessment of the development. And being the coal trader, I hope and I'm sure that the coal market will be expanding.
That's a very interesting point, because it was interesting, Mr. Murray was clear that he's cautiously optimistic, there are opportunities. I mean, do you see opportunities for Carbo One expanding maybe over the next few years?
Absolutely, and back in 2011 in Madrid, in Spain as well, when I was addressing the audience, we said that we were going to increase our trading volume from 25 million tons to 50 tons. And we are very close to it. As you rightly mentioned, it is 47 million tons this year, and hopefully we will kill the target of 50 million next year.
Given the changes in the market worldwide and the political pressures in Europe and elsewhere, do you see the balance between trade in Europe and trade in Asia changing significantly over the next few years?
It's constantly changing. I remember the times when the Atlantic market was the major market for Russian coal, and I remember times when the Pacific market was most attractive. So it's definitely changing all the times, and today it's Pacific, but definitely it could change. It's price-wise.
In that sense, how has the ruble affected you? I mean, has it been good news for you?
Ruble helps us a lot, definitely.
Thought it might.
And the weaker the ruble is, the better for the trader. It's easy because we pay for the railway, for rail cars in dollars, but they accept rubles. And every ruble which goes down brings us 80 cents of profit in our logistics.
You better whisper that, because some people won't like you. In terms of the different markets then, thermal coal and coking coal, I mean, again, how do you see that balance in the future in terms of trade?
Being a trader, we are very much lucky because we have in our portfolio steam coal, coke, anthracite, you name it. That's why we feel absolutely protected from that perspective, because we could diversify our supplies depending on the market demand.
But given low prices, don't some people think, what role do traders play? Do we need, can we cut out some of the middlemen? Can we cut out some of that?
Of course. And speaking about high or low prices, we don't have such a notion. We proceed from the notion of market prices. And back in 2001, I remember the prices close to $20 per ton of high-vol coal. And I remember 2009, when the prices were in excess of 200. So in my mind, the present price should be somewhere in between.
We've had, as I've suggested, quite a few questions that have come in from the floor. One is about your company's expertise in high volatile coal. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and about basically how you avoid accidents.
Maybe we are in somewhat better position than other traders because we have an evergreen contract with the largest Russian coal producer, and we are protected from that side. We could maintain the continuous flow of production and coal, and besides, again, we're in a better position than a producer because we're a trader, and any cent which we get is good. So whatever the prices are, they are market prices, and we feel absolutely protected from that point of view. Speaking about high vol, yes, the times are not that great for high vol, but still electricity is still being produced, and it will be produced, as Robert rightly said. So, and it will be produced not only using gas or natural or renewable energy, but still the major source of energy will be coal.
Another question is coming about commodity house trading markets and the volatility and the, is there something fundamentally wrong here? I mean, that debt to equity ratios have got out of whack, that banks did some rather silly things. I mean, how do you view that?
Actually, we think that what's happening in the coal markets is very strange, and there are no actual drivers for the situation. Yes, the overall economy is down. That is why the demand for coal is less, which is a natural procedure, and still we are absolutely sure that in couple of years it will change to the better, and the economy cannot go down all the times. One year it goes down, next year it goes up.
In terms of just to touch on the wider politics in a couple of ways, situation in Ukraine, how's that affected, if at all, what you do?
We used to supply to Ukraine 15 years ago, and we still supplying to Ukraine today. And we are not touching the policies, but the bad economic situation in Ukraine in some way supports us with the prices. So the prices for coal delivery to Ukraine increased 2 times for the last 2 years.
So, I mean, in terms of sanctions and the big politics, is that nothing to do with you? It doesn't affect you at all?
Kevin, we are not talking politics,
No.
we just trading coal.
No, but I mean, in terms of the sanctions, there's no knock-on effect for you at all, or in fact, a degree of beneficial,
absolutely not.
Beneficial effect. In terms of Russia and domestic markets and so on, I mean, is the energy mix changing, and how is Russia responding to some of these global challenges that we've all been talking about? I mean, the CO2 emissions and so on.
Speaking about emissions, I would like to argue with my opponents a little bit. So I agree with Robert, though. The major problem with emissions is not coal and not road cars, but cows. And you cannot kill all the cows because they fart.
Right, okay. Well, that certainly touched on part of the subject, but on the rest of it, I mean, in terms of regulations and what's going on in the wider market, does that not affect you?
I did not notice any changes for the last 15 years in the policies of this country, of Russia. So, unlike Robert, we like Putin administration in a way, and we support his policies. Big time.
I don't know how to follow that. I think I'll ask for some questions from the audience. Perhaps can't all be struck dumb. Any hands? Yes, there is one.
How do you see China's coal trade balance developing? Are you seeing, are we going to see China become a big exporter again?
China is a great issue, but not for my company, because we are producing and trading only high-quality coal in excess of 6,000 kilocalories and low ash and low sulfur, and we never ever supplied to China. So for us as a trader, it's not a big issue, but globally, of course, we hope that China will start increasing its economy as they did for the last 10 years, let's say.
Some more thoughts from the floor? Somebody at the back, or are you just fidgeting? I think he's just fidgeting. Any more? Well, there's a couple more questions that have come in here. One is spot market versus long-term contracts. Will liberalization of the Japanese market make spot procurement more common?
Japanese market is very difficult for the Russian producers because they historically deliver their coal from Australia, and it's a very small slot for the Russian coal in the country. But, and you need a lot of efforts to persuade Japanese to buy your material, which we probably trying to do, and we in a way succeed. But speaking about the Pacific markets, the major target is not even Japan, but Korea, South Korea. We could see from our point of view, for the last 2 years, we increased the deliveries to South Korea sixfold. So we were delivering 1 million tons, now it's 6+. And hopefully we see the expansion of the Korean market at least 30% more than they do now.
And just a final area, which is perhaps the most difficult of all. I mean, a kind of overview of the market in 5 years' time, and also of Carbo 1 in particular. I mean, how do you see things given the political pressures we've talked about, the environmental campaigns, and just simply the economy turning up, particularly China?
About environmental campaigns, I told you already.
Kill the cows, yes.
Yeah, kill the cows. we shall not do that. And in a 5-year perspective, for us, we will certainly increase to 50 million as we promised 5 years back. And definitely the overall markets will be increasing, and the coal consumption will increase, and the coal will last forever.
Well, there's a note of optimism. Alexey, it's been a pleasure. Alexey Danilov, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.